So welcome to us continuing our powerful storytelling from this morning. And we're going to keep coming back, not just to the equality topic, but also to the sustainability topic. And I've recently heard the statement that we have that interconnectivity of nature, of humanity and of prosperity, and everybody knows it, and that's why we need to keep coming back to that topic of sustainability. I've just come back actually from Africa, where I had the chance to visit the Cradle of Mankind, and in the Cradle of Mankind they have a fabulous exhibition that actually also talks about the 5 mass extinctions that we already have behind us, the last one 65 million years ago. We all need to commit to not get into the next one. And that's why we're here, and we're going to talk about sustainability also more on the World Woman Davos Agenda. My name is Beate Rosenthal. I am a partner of the Roland Berger team, the knowledge partner here at the World Woman Davos Agenda. I work across consumer and health industries, and my passion topics are indeed, as we've just heard, digitalization, AI, and sustainability. When it comes to sustainability, some of you that haven't been here this morning, let me put a few facts out, how women are particularly affected, actually, of the effects of climate change. 4 out of 5 of the people affected by climate change are women. We have seen studies that by 2045, 150 million women and girls might be displaced due to the effects of climate change. And we see that 50% of the people that live in 15 kilometers of armed conflicts are women. So it's affecting us, it's affecting the women, and that's why we need to take influence. In this panel, we're also going to talk about innovation and opportunity, because it's our chance to also make a difference, and we're going to spend some time to talk about the innovation and the opportunities that's also often driven by women. And lastly, here's also the good news. We've heard women on the board earlier. We have more than ever in the chief sustainability officer positions, we have women. So we have the chance to also take on that powerful journey. Now, I'm very happy to welcome 2 speakers to the stage that can absolutely, authentically tell us more about sustainability. If we're going to take a look at that, not just from an equality point of view, but really broadly. So I'm happy to get Dr. Lena Wallenhorst from Zalando and Saskia Pusten from Carbon Equity onto the stage. Join me, ladies. You can each grab a mic while I'm introducing you. So Zalando. Zalando is actually Europe's largest multi-brand fashion retailer. It's been a unicorn many years ago. I've actually invested at the time. Berlin-based. In the meanwhile, present with 50 million customers in 25 countries, mostly in Europe. And Zalando also has quite a strong commitment on sustainability, which is why I got connected with Lena some time ago. Lena is actually the general counsel of Zalando, and as part of that, part of the extended management team. At Zalando, they actually split to make it also accountable in more places, sustainability strategy, operations and compliance, and Lena is running beyond the overall compliance, also sustainability compliance on the product and value chain topic, and is particularly engaged in the topic of human rights and the human part in the value chain. So looking forward to hear from you. Saskia is probably a serial entrepreneur, not just an entrepreneur, and in the meanwhile investor. And she's actually one of the rare people who has deep knowledge and experience across the E and the S of sustainability. In her new role at Carbon Equity, she is actually working on providing financing access, or meaning investment access to climate tech to more people internationally and leading the international expansion here. And before that, we've heard the name already, more than 12 years ago, Saskia, together with Professor Yunus, well-known Nobel Prize winner and now very engaged in Bangladesh, has founded Yunus Social Business, which in the meanwhile has touched the lives of 15 million people in Latin America, East Africa, and places like India. And she's built and enabled a lot of entrepreneurs in this country, but also, and this is where we were engaged together, has built social intrapreneurship in corporates. So fabulous speakers, thank you for being here. And we're gonna get back to the topic of women being most affected by climate change. And with that said, just a few more data points on that topic that we've just seen, and we're going to get into the question. So the climate crisis is continuing to heat up, and we're seeing a lot of women affected. But what is the value of women? And Saskia, we're going to start with you being involved in that area of sustainability.
Well, Beate, I think you started with saying that women are disproportionately affected by climate change. And I think I've seen that early on over my last 15 years, working in the Global South, working with poor women. Mohammed Yunus, who I've been working with for 15 years, basically is a pioneer in actually enabling women to build their own businesses through microcredit. And we've always seen that those women are the ones that really, unfortunately, suffer the most, which is also the reason why I now decided to actually invest in climate at an industrial scale. But just maybe one step back, I mean, thinking about how women are concretely affected, just to make it a bit more, tangible for everyone. We've seen women cooking in small houses with terrible gases going up and them having much worse lung diseases. And what we've done with social business is providing and selling them clean cooking stoves so they don't have the fumes and can therefore cook. Women obviously are the ones that have to go to get the water. We all know that. We've invested in clean water cleaning systems so women actually have the water closer to their house. We've also seen women as innovators in this space. So for example, already in the 90s in Bangladesh, we started investing in solar panels for roofs of remote homes. And at that point, it was a crazy idea because no one was thinking about solar in the 90s. It was like way too expensive. And Yunus and Grameen in Bangladesh, we actually started one of the, let's say, the largest solar panel business back then. And what is the role in women in this? Men did not believe in this because they were used to, well, I use kerosene to have a little bit light at home. I don't want to change. And in the end, we needed to convince the women in the households to say, you're anyway spending this money on kerosene. You might as well now spend it on installments that every month you pay back your solar home system and you'll have clean energy that doesn't just last for a week or a month, but for the next 20 years. And what we've also seen in that very concrete example is we needed installers to put those solar home systems on those roofs. And who was available to do this? Well, men were like, well, we don't know this industry. This is new. We don't like this. Well, and women, again, took the charge and said, we're going to be the ones that actually install those solar panels, and we're going to be trained to be solar installers and solar engineers. So I think that just to start off with why we see women playing that role. But actually now at the more industrial scale, because I basically moved from investing in the Global South to coming to the realization that if we really wanted to do something about decarbonization, we need to start at the level of the industry, and we therefore need to start at the level of the Global North currently, where most of the CO2 emissions are actually being produced. And so what I did with a group of other women, or let me put it this way, there was a group of 3 amazing women that started the company that I'm now part of and that I am now also a late co-founder of, called Carbon Equity. And these 3 women had that vision to say, we need to decarbonize the industry. We need to do that across all sectors. And how do we do that best? We do it through money. Because money makes the world go round. And so they've created a climate tech fund of funds. Sounds super boring at first, but is super, super relevant. Why? Because this is one way how we can get much more capital into climate tech. because fund of funds de-risk climate tech investing, and therefore more capital, also capital from pension funds in theory, can flow into this sector and therefore increase and accelerate the decarbonization. And number two, they felt that on this journey, we don't just want to have the ultra high rich folks and the pension funds to be part of this energy transition and also making money in this energy transition. We also want to get individuals to be part of that. And therefore, we're also allowing smaller ticket sizes, already starting as of 20,000, to invest in some of these climate tech solutions, because this is a way that we're going to be able to scale it. And so again, this was driven by 3 women, now a 4th woman co-founder coming in and investing in this particular sector.
Amazing. So those are already first tangible examples, and we've lots out in the audience, I'm sure. From your view, and Lena, you've worked in fashion, you've also worked before on logistics solution at Skion. Where do you see the value of women taking leadership in sustainability?
Yeah, I mean, let me start at, we at Zalando, we're really customer focused. Customer comes first. And as we are, the leading European platform for fashion and lifestyle, no one is surprised, of course, that our majority of customers are women. And as we are in 25 countries, of course, these women have very diverse backgrounds. And actually, it's these customers that drive fashion choices, that drive what we offer on our platform. And actually, it's, these customers, these women who matter to us, who matter to the economy, who matter to, of course, also the sustainability offer that we make. And so we deeply believe in what is outside reality needs to be reflected inside our company as well. So we deeply believe in D&I to, tie a bit the knot to my previous panelists or to the previous speakers. We deeply believe in a D&I, and we came up with our D&I strategy and sustainability strategy already in 2019 in a very organized framework. And that has enabled us to have now close to 36% of women leaders in the top 5 leadership positions, leadership levels that actually drive our agenda also in sustainability. And yes, I know, we've come far, but probably not far enough. So we will continue to strive and we will continue to push. And I know we have also discussed it already here. There is backlash. There is question marks around, whether this is the right path, especially coming from the US. We at Zalando, we're deeply convinced that that is the right path, and we will continue to drive our agenda.
Yeah. Love the perspective. So the why comes from your customer, that makes a business tick. The why comes from the money. Yeah, so very convincing story. So let's move a little bit more into innovation examples. And we've said this panel is going to talk a bit more about those, CO2 intensive strategies, which is why we have Zalando, and we have the experience of Saskia and myself doing some work on food. So let me start giving you some of the examples where women, but also sustainability innovation plays a role. So I don't know if you know, but Chloe is a luxury fashion brand that was the first one that committed to become a B Corp, and they just renewed their B Corp status, and they're all about women empowerment, and that was also driven by their management team and their chief designer at the time, Gabriela Hurst, and the new one, Kimena, is continuing, and so is their chief sustainability officer, so they're really driving a lot of women empowerment again in that value chain. Another example I heard about is Lisa Dyson, who actually was quite affected by the Hurricane Katrina at the time, and said, okay, I need to step up and use my science to make a difference. And she's now converting the air and the CO2 in the air into food and other ingredients for daily life. So there's a lot of examples. And another one that I heard earlier today is a lot of us probably know about the meat replacement products and how some of the meat companies have come about. But one of the largest one is Tyson, and they actually now have completely reframed, and they're saying they're not a meat company anymore, they're a protein company, and completely reframed. So we're going to talk a bit more about those innovations innovations. Let's start with Lena this time. So which innovations come to your mind that can help us scale and address the sustainability topic?
Again, I mean, of course, we working and being in the fashion industry, of course, that is top of mind and top of our sustainability strategy. To also invest, of course, in industries, startups, companies, technologies that actually make the fashion industry more sustainable. So we have a dedicated team that invests in new technologies, especially producing recyclable fibers and making that circular fashion industry actually a reality. Innovation for us, of course, always is very connected to technology. I mean, we're an online platform, so it doesn't go without technology. And again, here we deeply believe that the innovation force of our workforce can only be unleashed by being diverse and having a diverse workforce. And so part of our D&I strategy and innovation and sustainability strategy is actually also to have 50%, to strive for 50% women in tech. So throughout our tech job families, to actually strive to have equal participation there as well. We have made quite impressive progress, not there yet, but with 26% of our tech, people actually being women. Keep in mind that close to half of our workforce, overhead workforce, are actually techies, so it is quite a sizable round. And we have dedicated programs to actually push more women in tech job families. So you can train to become a techie, female techie. We have mentorship programs and also internship programs for entry-level engineers, female engineers, to actually, gain more experience also outside of Zalando. Quite some interesting examples also of female entrepreneurs stemming from that, to actually leaving Zalando and doing something else. And then, of course, also fostering the community is very, very important. And the Women in Tech employee representative group is actually directly mentored by one of our co-CEOs. So that is how we close the loop, I would say, on that topic.
Yeah, Saskia, I know you also have lots of examples to contribute to inspire us that innovation can make a difference. Please share some with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe just one thing that I wanted to say before. I mean, it's so great to come into this room and feel this female energy after the topic that, after what Zuckerberg has said, we need more masculine energy. So it's just great to be here and get a little bit recharged. But I also don't want to be too optimistic and it's all going to be solved by the women. I think that's just a little unrealistic, especially now after having spent this whole week here in Davos again. I mean, we see what's happening in the US. I don't need to depress anyone on that. But I've sat in rooms where large investors that had very strong climate commitments over the last 3-4 years through the Glasgow Finance Alliance for whatever, net zero, I'm getting the right, GFANS in any case, you know what I mean, decided to get out without any a little bit of a soul searching. They just left. And I think that's the reality that we're facing right now. I heard people that are very sustainability focused that said, well, I now need to get back into investing into fossil fuels because, well, otherwise my benchmark returns are not being met. And I think that's sort of the reality we're also facing. If that's now driven by male or female energy, I can't tell you 100%, but it feels like a little rougher. And therefore also, if I look at my industry now, climate tech, I can't tell you this beautiful story of oh yeah, and in climate tech, there are many more women entrepreneurs. I mean, the truth is in venture capital, women are underrepresented. That's just the truth, both on the investor side as well as the entrepreneurs that are being financed. And that is just a continuous fact. I mean, we've been talking about that for ages. And despite the fact that, for example, the European Venture Capital Association has now come out with the studies saying that of the 9% assets under management that women actually currently manage, there are 10 or 15% higher returns. I hope that that's true, and that should hopefully lead to the fact that there would be more managers in the future. But coming back to, and therefore I also can't tell you like there are all these innovations that are only driven by women, because that just wouldn't be true. But I can tell you that there are amazing cases. We have, for example, 3 different fantastic GPs, Voyager, DCVC, and Azola, that are bringing much higher returns than sort of the more male-run funds, because there are 3 outperformers in our portfolio, so I can tell you that. And I can tell you, for example, I met a fantastic woman, Sarah Lamaison, from Diocycle, that is an incredible scientist and also entrepreneur in our space. She she captures CO2 and turns that into chemicals to be able to then, for example, produce sustainable aviation fuel, but also inputs into plastics and other chemicals. So of course there are amazing female scientists out there. Of course there are amazing innovations driven by them, but I can't tell a beautiful story that women are, let's say, the only ones at the forefront. It's both sides, of course, especially in technical areas.
It's both sides, and also as technology and sustainability come together, we need to make sure that those women are in the tech roles. In my experience with the food industry, we actually see a lot of technology and AI innovation coming together with in sustainability improvements in the food value chain, and going even, from what we already know about precision farming and better, crop science that even empower farmers in Africa. To things like a Samsung fridge today that can help you avoid food waste. Or at the CES, there was even a waste bucket that helps you with AI analyze what you're eating and how much waste you're creating. So sustainability obviously needs to not just reach the companies that are creating it and the most diverse teams, but everybody and the people that are acting every day, because we must just not give up on that topic. And there's definitely a lot of innovation. And here comes the encouraging data when it comes to decision making. In Europe, in the US, almost 60% of chief sustainability officer roles are female. Yeah, in the world at large, it's still 40%, but in the global north, we've reached that decision-making point where chief sustainability, yes, it's sometimes now combined with communications officers, as we've seen for some of the people that we also looked at for this panel. Roles might get compressed, but they're having the seat at the table, and so do the 2 of you. So. What does it mean having the seat at the table, and how can we use that chief sustainability officer roles or that influence that you, for instance, have, Lena, in that role to make a better impact?
Yeah, the question. I mean, maybe let me, because we have a bit of also negative connotations in the sense of, doom and gloom and where's the world going actually. And I just want to, because I just really like the story of the company I work for, because it's such a positive story, and I hope it continues to be, and I will definitely play my part that it continues to be. And why is that? I mean, it's a very, very young company. It was founded in 2008 by 2 male co-founders, and it then rapidly grew. So in 2014, we had already 7,000 people, went public, are now listed on the DAX, and in 2019, already 15,000 employees. And even though it was founded by two guys, actually such a rapid growth would not have been possible without just tapping into the diverse and vast, talent pool there is. And so a company grew that actually in Berlin has 140 nations in the team, is 60% for a German company, 60% internationals. It's 50-50 when it comes to women and men. And why I'm saying that, because this actually, came driven by our founders who actually thought, it makes sense to drive that. That's in 2019 that we institutionalized it with our D&I and sustainability strategy, because we deeply believe that, women and diverse workforce actually make better decisions. And so today we have 40% women on our executive board, so in the C-suite. the majority of our supervisory board, which is the highest decision-making body in a German company, are actually women. And when it comes indeed to the decision makers on D&I and sustainability, these are women like myself who are driving the agenda, and it will continue like that. And so I really like that story, because even though here and there, it might be a bit different, young companies with young workforce, I think there is an innate kind of drive towards diversity and pushing for the better.
Thank you. So who do we need to influence so that we don't lose that momentum, Saskia? How do we go about that?
I think it's mainly the momentum that we need to create is now to ensure that we continue with fighting the climate crisis and don't sort of get sidetracked with all the discussions that we're having right now. You just talked about, I think there's the main thing that we need to influence is capital. Making sure that the capital flows in the right directions. Again, at Carbon Equity, we believe in being able to mobilize a new asset, let's say a new group of capital that hasn't been currently invested in this climate space. To give you 2-3 numbers, we need about 9 trillion a year over the next 10 years to be able to reach our net zero targets. 9 trillion. That sounds like a lot, but yet if I compare this with the $177 trillion that is in the hands of the mass affluent, so not even the ultra rich, just like people that actually have a salary, that is actually seems to be something doable. So 177 trillion in the hands of mass affluent, of which 68 trillion is now moving to the next generation, so the younger generation, that the millennials that are anyway thinking different. So no matter which of the two numbers we look at, those individuals actually have sufficient capital if they decide to invest it in the right way to ensure that this 9 trillion gap is being taken care of. And now we need to find ways to harness their money and make their money sort of have the access to climate solutions, climate innovations. We do that as Carbon Equity. We hope that many others will be doing that too, to democratize the access to climate PE and venture capital. And I think that that's one way, because we believe that the majority of the people out there know that climate change is happening. 80% of the human beings on this planet believe that climate is going to affect their lives. So if we just get that connected with their capital and actually put it into the solutions, we can change this, and that's where I end up being optimist. I will add one more stat, which is not linked to climate tech. I'm involved in a company called Hero that actually funds climate activists to do their work. 80% of the climate activists on their platform are women, are young women. And so we see that these are the ones that are actually putting up their voice and are daring to make that difference. So I do think that we do have, we have the ingredients, the political will is not there, but we will make it happen despite the political will.
You said, yes.
We have to be positive, right?
Yeah, we have to be positive, and you said something in our earlier talk is we need to keep sustainability and holistic, social and climate one, are political, because it's not just a political agenda. Those companies that have pursued the triple bottom line and also looked at their impact on society and climate, they have outperformed according to the data. So we have to, as we've heard Annabella say, keep the numbers speaking. And I also believe that being close to boards and being in those conversations, those chief sustainability officers, they can help keep their triple bottom line KPIs up on the agenda and help prioritize those ideas that have an impact on top of being obviously business accretive to be prioritized. With that said, any final thoughts what we can contribute to make a difference, Lena?
I mean, you said it well. I mean, in the end, especially when you work for a company that is, of course, listed and needs to make a profit, in the end, it is about showing that it definitely makes sense. It just makes business sense. And then, of course, it's great if you also do something good for, the world and for us. But in the end, if it makes business sense, it will be driven forward, and I deeply believe in that.
And for me, depoliticize the debate on climate, on diversity. Let's just talk about solutions. Let's focus on the things that we all agree on, that is common sense focused, and just move forward on all of these topics rather than spending and wasting our time on political debate.
And indeed, make sure that the younger generation gets a voice and keeps that optimism as well. With those thoughts, we leave you with sustainability as a key topic for those 2 days. We've seen that women are the ones most affected by climate change. Women are powerful innovators when it comes to changing the game from capital to those industries that are most CO2 affected and creating. And we've seen that we actually have the chance, because with chief sustainability officers being in most cases women now in Europe and North America, and hopefully other regions following, we have a voice. So let's all use that voice wherever you are, in your business, in your organization, in your individual roles at home, and keep that priority for sustainability and equality up. Thank you.